So how do you like my beginning setup here for Samhain? And did you know that Samhain, that we all think of when we see it written on the page for Halloween and the Day of the Dead on November 1st, is actually pronounced Samhain? And I found that out a few years ago, and that stuck with me because I've been pronouncing it incorrectly all this time. I'm going to link a video below that gives a little bit of a background on it. It's kind of a fun one that I discovered recently that I'm going to share with you. All right, so I am inspired to record this video because a client of mine was asking how would be the best approach for her to honor her ancestors and loved ones on October 31st, November 1st, the Day of the Dead. From my teacher, her explanation of this time period, it's for her, most things come in 3-day cycles. So for instance, for the new moon, it's the day before, the day of, and the day after. For the new moon is a time of going within, reflecting on your intentions for this upcoming moon cycle, and really just having a time for yourself the day before, the day of, and the day after. That's always not possible, but a little bit of time each day for you. So similar with this, with the Day of the Dead being the day in the middle, which is November 1st, All Hallows Eve kind of makes sense on the 31st, that's turned into the holiday of Halloween. And then November 2nd is just closing out that cycle. So actually that's not part of it. Let me put that here. Okay, so I have just a few items out, and some of it is just symbolic of some things that I would do for honoring my ancestors and those who came before me on the 31st. And the 1st in particular. And then on the 2nd is when I would close it out. So what I like to do is always have some beautiful fresh flowers to honor your deceased loved ones. And when I say deceased, I mean no longer in physical form. They're always with you. They're always around. They're always available to support and help you if you ask. And I love red roses because roses are the highest vibrational flower from frequency perspective, but get any flowers that feel good to you and that might have a significance to your family. My family, nothing really. Tulips, maybe. My mom used to love those around Easter, but because this is the time period of transitioning from the warmer months into the cooler months, more action of the spring and summer to more of the going within and kind of resetting and recalibrating yourself in the autumn and the winter, to me it feels like it would be appropriate to have some flowers that represented that more internal process. So, and then perhaps during the Beltane season, I would bring out some brighter colored flowers to celebrate and honor that time. Totally up to you. There is no right, there is no wrong. It's whatever you're inspired to do and whatever flowers are available. So I like to have some in a vase. I also will place them around my table. So for a celebration, there's typically food and drink and decorations and this feeling of excitement and honor. Think about a birthday. You're honoring the birthday person. So on this Day of the Dead, we're honoring the dead. We're honoring those who have come before us. And particularly taking into consideration your lineage, your parents, your mother, your father, and their lineage. If you are adopted, same thing. If you don't know who your birth parents are, look at the lineage of your adopted parents. If you don't know what the lineage of your family is, or you don't have any sense of that, then just go with what feels good to you. Think about, tune into any sort of memories or feelings or emotions that come up, because there's likely some information that's coming through for you. So I have here some of my fine china that I very rarely use. And so during this process of setting the table, I'm pulling out my fine china. I'm going to have specific foods that might be connected to my family that I am eating, and I'm literally going to make a plate for my family members so that if their spirit comes, they're part of the celebration. So I will set the table with anywhere from 2, 4 or more place settings, depending on how lengthy and elaborate of an honoring I am inclined to do that year. And then I also have, as you can see here, I have some photos of my father's family. And and these are photocopies. You don't even have to have the actual photos. And, for me, this is what worked, because I just made a quick copy of the photos that I had, because I wanted to be able to use these every single year and put the photos that I have currently back in their frames. And then I also have here some photos of my mother's family and her lineage. And so I'm bringing both sides of my family into the equation. I usually have photos of, I didn't pull them out today, but I usually have my mother's side on the left, my father's side on the right, because the left is the feminine, the right is the masculine. And then I put pictures of myself and my family that I have now. So pictures of my kids, pictures of myself with my husband, and I put those in the center, because we are the center of these two family units. I also love to bring crystals into the equation. So here, and I'm also a big person who, I don't like to waste anything. I use it to its fullest if I can. So candles are another beautiful way. As you can see, I have 2 candles here. I will likely have more candles. I just have a few out as a representation of what you can do, what you're inspired to do. One of my favorite brands, Enchanted Botanicals, she puts crystals, different types of crystals in her candles, and it adds a little extra boost and potency to her products. And when the candle is finished, all of those crystals go to the bottom. They flow down to the bottom. So I scrape them out, and then I use the crystals for any sort of ritual or offering that I have coming up. So in this particular blend, I have some lapis, and I have some green aventurine. Lapis, to me, because of its color, is communication. It has to do with the throat chakra. And that's been a key thematic in my family, of the women not feeling like they had a voice and able to speak up. And the men also, because there are strong women in some part of my lineage, the men not feeling like they could, their voices being quieted as well. So it's both the masculine and the feminine sides of the family. And then the green, that's all about the heart chakra and opening yourself up to love in a whole new way, accessing love in a whole new way, and supporting the opening of the heart. So with these crystals, number of ways you can do it. What I will likely use these crystals for during this process is I will have a tray or some sort of receptacle on the table, and I will put some offerings, maybe some herbs, maybe these crystals, and have them in a container that at the end of the 3-day cycle on November 2nd, I will take those and put them into a fire-safe container with a charcoal and burn the herbs, and I'll have the crystals in there, and then I will offer it to the earth when I'm done. Another really amazing part of bringing in your the earth element, and if your family members were buried in the earth, this connects with them directly in that way, is bringing actual crystals into the decor and the decoration of the table. I particularly love this one because it's a heart, and I also love it because on the back side, it's very different than what you see on the front. And that, to me, reminds me of life. There's maybe some struggle or some challenge or things that don't look quite or feel quite like you would like them to. But then on the other side, it always works out okay. It always smooths out in the end. So there's a lot of symbolism in this. I'll likely bring more crystals into the tablescape, but this is just giving you an example. I forgot to bring my incense, but incense is another. I have my little incense holder here from my daughter. Thank you, Avery. Bring incense into the equation too for smoke, as a smoke offering during your ritual. And then, as you can see here, I have some cards. Now, For those of you who already have some experience with Oracle or Tarot cards, this will be a fairly simple process for you. For those of you who have never used cards, are a little bit intimidated by it, don't know what to do, check out my Getting Started with Cards course, where I walk you through the basics of being able to connect with the cards, choose the right deck, store the deck, and use the cards with integrity. So these are the 4 decks that I will use for this upcoming honoring. So I have this Angel Tarot deck by Radleigh Valentine, a Past Life Oracle deck by Doreen Virtue and Brian Weiss. I also have this Sacred Symbol Oracle deck by, who is this? Marcella Kroll. This is a fairly new deck. It's a simple deck, but powerful. And then Postcards from Spirit by Colette Baron-Reid. What I love about this deck in particular for this particular ritual is that it's literally filled with just what it says on the box, postcards from spirit. And each card has a very specific message. And what I love is that it's always so in tune and exactly what message I feel like I need to hear from my family. So I will likely pull one card from my father's side and one card from my mother's side and see what messages are being given to me at that time. And this deck I will use to, because it's all symbols, for a symbol that I can connect with for the remainder of the year, between this year and next year when I say year. Whenever I need support from my ancestors, all I have to do is visualize this symbol and I'm, boom, automatically connected with them and this ritual. Okay, the Past Life deck. One little asterisk to this particular deck. This is I think a bit harder to find these days. And I just want to give a little bit of context to the languaging here. So I believe that we are living other lifetimes. It's not in the past, it's ever present. So when you're connecting with past life connections, you're actually connecting with an energy that is currently flowing from lifetimes that are currently happening. In terms of our human brain and the way we contextualize things, it may seem like the past, but in reality, the way time truly exists, it's happening all at the same time. So even though it says past life, I believe it's actually happening now. So any messages that come through with these cards are likely going to be little hints and glimmers of something that is important for you to take away in your current life as well. These cards basically have some themes, and there's a guidebook that will give you some little prompts to maybe jog your memory into connecting to these other lifetime themes. I choose a card for each side of my family to see what thematics might be present for me currently and or going forward. And then this deck, the Angel Tarot deck, this has on the card, it has, different angels, it has different artwork and messages, and there's messages written right on the card. For these, I don't really tend to go to the guidebook for this particular practice, because whatever the little short message on the bottom of the card is tends to be what I need, and I don't want to get too bogged down with too much. This is already a lot. Let's see. The other thing too is, if you have any gifts of honor that you would like to bestow upon your ancestors, I already mentioned the food, maybe, with my German heritage, even though I don't drink beer, I might buy a German beer and serve that at the table for my ancestors in honor of them. So just really kind of think about your family, think about your heritage, think about the things that would be meaningful for them, and buy them, purchase them, and have them on your tablescape. This is, we tend to think about things in terms of, well, this seems kind of dumb because these people aren't really here. So you're creating a table for like a dinner party, but there's no one coming to the dinner, physically coming to the dinner. I believe that when you create this inviting environment for your ancestors to come and you honor them in the way that you do by taking the time to buy flowers and pull out your fine china and have crystals and candles available, that gives them an invitation to come and celebrate, to honor you as you're honoring them. And they will be available to you when you need them. They always are, but it's a way of saying thank you. It's a way of saying, I appreciate all that you did that paved the way for me to be here now. And dress up. Wear a dress. Wear a nice shirt and slacks if you're a gentleman. Do something that you would not normally do to honor them. Act as if you are throwing a grand dining affair and you would like to show up as your best self and create a space that's welcoming to them so that they can come and celebrate with you. And one final note too, opening the space by setting it, talking to them, literally talking to them out loud, sharing things in your life that are feeling really joyful, and sharing the struggles, and see what messages you receive over the course of the next couple of days. And when you close the circle, when you close the time frame of those 3 days, do it with a sense of reverence, with a sense of honor, and a real feeling of respect for those who have come before you. And know that you are now paving the way for those who come after you. And that at some point in your life, if the family members are aware and evolving and growing thanks to your efforts, they will honor you going forward. And you can be the steward of that heritage and that lineage going forward. I think that's it. I hope this was helpful. Thank you very much. I would love to hear how your celebration in your honor of your ancestors goes, because what do I say all the time? We learn from one another. So here you go, a little honor for your relatives.